The body's night shift, unlocking the power of protein through the circadian code. Have you ever wondered why certain foods make you feel more sluggish at night, while others give you just enough energy to drift peacefully into sleep? Or why, despite doing everything right during the day, eating clean, exercising hard, sleeping early, you still feel like your body is not responding the way it used to? Let me tell you a truth that changed how I treat patients and how I treat myself. Your body doesn't operate on a 24-hour schedule. It operates on a 24-hour rhythm. And what you feed it, and when you feed it, matters more than you might imagine. Understanding your biological clock. In the late 1990s, researchers discovered the clock genes, a set of genes that exist in every cell of your body, controlling your internal circadian rhythm. These genes operate like conductors of a vast biological orchestra. They ensure that each system in your body plays its part at the right time. From hormone release, to body temperature, to cellular repair, to digestion. What many people still don't know is that these rhythms aren't just about your sleep-wake cycle. They affect when you build muscle, how you absorb nutrients, and even when your organs clean house. Your body doesn't grow or repair itself while you're pushing through reps at the gym. That's merely the stimulus. The real growth, the real change, happens at night. And here lies the most overlooked opportunity in modern health optimization. If nighttime is when the body repairs, then what you provide it during that window determines how well it repairs. Why protein at night isn't just logical, it's biological. Protein is made up of amino acids, and these amino acids aren't just muscle builders. They're also messengers, fuel, and repair agents. They build enzymes. They repair organs. They help your liver process toxins. They even regulate gene expression. At night, your body enters what's called a catabolic state, a state where it breaks down tissue to recycle materials for repair. If your bloodstream lacks amino acids at this point, because you haven't eaten since dinner at 6 p.m., your body may begin breaking down muscle to get the building blocks it needs, especially during longer fasts overnight. This effect becomes pronounced, but by providing a slow-digesting or sustained protein source, 30 to 60 minutes before bed, you essentially change the chemistry of your nighttime repair process. You go from break down and rebuild from what's left to here's a premium delivery of clean material. Get to work. Scientific proof when protein meets the clock. One study that profoundly impacted my clinical approach was published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. Researchers took two groups of men. Both followed the same evening workout. One group had a placebo before bed. The other had 40 grams of casein protein. The result? The casein group had 22% greater overnight muscle protein synthesis. Another study, perhaps even more fascinating, showed that whey protein, despite being fast digesting, produced a higher and more sustained amino acid availability overnight than even casein. This finding challenged the older assumption that only slow-digesting proteins were effective pre-sleep options. And here's what's even more interesting. While your stomach may be asleep, your intestines never sleep. The transport of amino acids, the repair of cellular structures, and the orchestration of hormonal signaling all continue with stunning precision, so long as you provide the body with the right fuel. The clock inside your muscle cells. Skeletal muscle has its own circadian rhythm. It has its own peak hours for protein uptake, gene expression, and mitochondrial regeneration. This is why many patients, especially older adults, struggle to maintain muscle mass. Even when they consume adequate protein during the day, they're fighting against their own biology by not supporting that nighttime window where anabolic signaling is most active. Let me give you a real example from my practice. Real-world case. Mr. Howard, 68, the nighttime turnaround. Howard was 68, a retired software engineer, active walker, ate a protein-rich breakfast, stayed hydrated, followed his doctor's orders. But he was losing strength, posture, even confidence. His blood work was fine. His protein intake seemed solid. But when I asked about his last meal, he chuckled. I usually finish dinner around 6:30. That's about it until 8 the next morning. That's 13.5 hours without nutrition. 13.5 hours where his body was trying to repair, trying to hold on to muscle tissue without support. We made one simple change. A 35-gram whey protein shake at 9:30 p.m. 3 months later, his DEXA scan showed he gained 1.7 pounds of lean mass. Without a single change in exercise routine, his walking speed improved. So did his balance. And most importantly, his self-belief came back. Protein plus rhythm equals recovery. There's a reason why professional athletes obsess over timing. But it's not just elite runners or bodybuilders who benefit. Sleep is when the body prioritizes deep repair, regulated by growth hormone release and neurotransmitter cycling. Protein at night supports this system, both by providing the raw material and by nudging hormonal signals like insulin, IGF-1, and cortisol in favorable directions. But doctor, isn't eating at night bad? This question often comes from outdated dogma. Eating late causes weight gain. Here's what the science says. If you eat more calories than you burn, you'll gain weight, no matter what time you eat. If your pre-sleep protein replaces other calories or fits within your daily range, it won't cause fat gain. In fact, because of protein's high thermic effect, you'll burn more calories digesting it, compared to carbs or fat. And if that protein helps you preserve lean mass, improve satiety, and optimize sleep, the net metabolic benefit is often positive. Key insight from this chapter: your body's nightly rhythm is like a construction site. The tools, hormones; the plans, genes; the workers, enzymes, they're ready. But if you don't send the materials, protein, to the site before midnight, nothing gets built. What's next? In the next chapter, we'll explore the truth about casein versus whey, the surprising findings that shook up our understanding of slow versus fast proteins, and how to tailor your pre-sleep nutrition based on your age, goals, and activity level. Mark's midnight struggle, a story of muscle loss, redemption, and the power of whey. I used to have arms like bricks, Mark told me, flexing a bicep that barely filled the sleeve of his work shirt anymore. Now, I feel like I'm fading, like I'm hollow. He said it with a half laugh, trying to hide the sadness in his voice. But as a doctor who has treated hundreds of men just like him, I've come to recognize the deeper truth behind such laughter. It was grief. Grief over a body that used to feel strong, useful, masculine. Grief over the quiet, creeping loss. That doesn't scream, but steals. The night shift life. Mark was 55, a logistics supervisor at a warehouse that operated 24/7. For over 20 years, he had worked the night shift, from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. He prided himself on being reliable, the kind of man who didn't get sick, didn't complain, didn't skip work. Blue-collar backbone, he called it. But something had changed. I've lost nearly 12 pounds, he said, but not in the good way. Not fat, just mass. I feel like I'm getting smaller. At first, he blamed it on aging. Maybe it's just part of turning 50. But the truth ran deeper and darker. The hidden toll of night work. From a biological standpoint, night shift work disrupts the body's circadian rhythm, its natural 24-hour clock. Hormone cycles get inverted. Cortisol rises at the wrong times. Melatonin drops. Digestion slows. But what's most overlooked is that night workers often spend 12+ hours without a meaningful source of protein, especially during the recovery window, when the body needs it most. Mark's pattern was typical of so many night workers. Dinner at 7 p.m. before leaving for work. Maybe a quick snack, usually carb-heavy, during his 2 a.m. break. Collapse into bed by 7 a.m., too exhausted to eat anything. Sleep until 3 p.m., wake groggy, and repeat. This schedule meant no quality protein intake. From 7 p.m. to 3 p.m. the next day, 20+ hours of biological starvation. And as I explained to him, even if he met his total protein intake later that day, the damage during that long overnight catabolic window had already been done. Mark, I said, your body's working a night shift, but you've been feeding it like you're on the day shift. That's the disconnect. The silent loss of muscle, sarcopenia in disguise. What Mark was experiencing was the early phase of sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss. But in his case, it was being accelerated by shift work and long fasting periods. Without amino acid support, lab results showed his muscle enzymes and vitamin D were borderline low. His fasted insulin was abnormally high. His testosterone levels had dipped, likely due to disrupted sleep and chronic night work. His grip strength had dropped 20% since his last checkup 2 years ago. The good news? He was still mobile, functional, and motivated to make a change. But first, I needed to convince him of something. That a scoop of protein powder, at the right time, might matter more than the bench press itself. The way before sleep protocol. Instead of trying to overhaul his chaotic schedule, we focused on just one intervention: 30 to 35 grams of whey protein, consumed at the end of his shift before going to bed. Why whey? Because it digests fast, floods the bloodstream with essential amino acids, especially leucine, and provides a strong muscle protein synthesis signal during the body's recovery window, right as he sleeps during the day. This was about more than protein. It was about restoring rhythm. His night was everyone else's morning, so we treated it that way, biologically. The 12-week transformation. We kept everything else the same. His meals, his workouts, his sleep schedule. The only change: whey protein at 6:30 a.m. before bed. Week 1 to 2. Mark reported better sleep. Not deeper, but more restful. He didn't toss and turn as much. His energy stabilized during shifts. Week 4. He regained 1.2 pounds of lean mass, confirmed by body composition scans. His shoulders looked fuller, even under his uniform. Week 8. Colleagues began asking, "You hitting the gym again?" He hadn't changed his gym routine, just his nighttime fuel. Week 12. DEXA scan confirmed 3.4 pounds of muscle regained, and a drop in visceral fat around his abdomen. His blood pressure dropped by 7 points. Most strikingly, his grip strength improved 18%, and he could squat deeper, without knee pain. But what struck me most wasn't the lab values. It was the look in his eyes, restoring identity through recovery. Mark came in for his follow-up, wearing the same blue work jacket. But this time, he wasn't hunched. "I don't just feel stronger," he said. "I feel more like myself again." That's the untold story behind muscle loss in middle-aged men. It's not just about size or looks. It's about identity. Muscle is the currency of confidence, of usefulness, of dignity, especially for those who spent their lives building, lifting, working with their hands. And the tragedy is, many men like Mark are losing that silently. Not because they're lazy, not because they don't try, but because no one ever told them about the simple power of protein timing. Doctor's insight: the 3 key lessons from Mark's case. 1. Timing matters. Protein before sleep, or pre-daytime sleep in shift workers, isn't just an extra. It's a restoration strategy. 2. Whey works. Despite being fast digesting, its impact on MPS, amino acid flood, and even satiety outpaces many slower proteins when used post-shift or pre-sleep. 3. Muscle loss isn't just physical. For many, it represents a loss of autonomy, power, and self-worth. Addressing it is a form of emotional medicine, not just physical. Closing thought. So the next time someone tells you protein timing doesn't matter, or that eating after work is bad, remember Mark, a man who didn't change his life. He just changed his nighttime nutrition. And in doing so, he didn't just reclaim his body. He reclaimed his sense of strength, on the inside and the outside. The chemistry of sleep, how protein, serotonin, and melatonin work together at night. I don't have insomnia. I just never feel rested. That's what my patient Lucy, a 62-year-old retired teacher, told me the first time we spoke. She went to bed at 10 p.m. She avoided screens. She even did yoga before sleep. But each morning, she woke up groggy, as if her body never quite shut down the noise. It's like I sleep with one foot on the brake and one on the gas. And in many ways, she was right, biochemically. Because what we often call bad sleep isn't just about hours. It's about chemistry, about neurotransmitters, and about whether the brain is being fed the raw material it needs to let go. The sleep symphony, where chemistry meets circadian rhythm. Sleep is not a simple on-off switch. It's more like a delicate symphony, with multiple movements. 1. Falling asleep. 2. Entering deep restorative stages. 3. Dreaming, REM. 4. Waking up refreshed. Each stage requires specific neurotransmitters and hormones to be produced and activated. And at the center of this orchestra are 2 key molecules: serotonin, the calming chemical; melatonin, the sleep signaler. But before those can exist, you need one essential ingredient: tryptophan. Tryptophan, the unsung amino acid hero. Tryptophan is an essential amino acid, meaning your body can't make it. You must get it from food. It's the precursor to serotonin, which in turn becomes melatonin. Here's how the process works. Tryptophan 5-HTP, serotonin, melatonin. It's a simple, but vital biochemical pathway. If any link is missing, or if the system is stressed, your body struggles to enter deep, restorative sleep. The role of protein at night, more than muscle. Most people associate protein with muscle, metabolism, or weight loss. But what's often overlooked is that certain proteins, especially complete proteins, contain tryptophan. Consuming them before bed can directly feed the sleep pathway. This is why a protein-rich evening snack can sometimes do what melatonin pills can't. Support your natural rhythm by fueling the internal process rather than overriding it. Clinical evidence, protein and sleep quality. In 2016, a study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that participants who consumed protein-rich diets, particularly in the evening, had higher levels of circulating melatonin, fewer awakenings during the night, improved sleep latency, falling asleep faster. Another meta-analysis in Nutrients, 2020, reviewed 17 controlled trials. It found that tryptophan supplementation, or tryptophan-rich foods, consistently improved REM sleep and reduced nighttime awakenings. Back to Lucy, a case of silent deficiency. Lucy's diet was generally healthy, lots of vegetables, some fish, a few grains, but she had been unknowingly avoiding protein at night because she read online that eating before bed makes you fat. As a result, her dinner often consisted of salad, fruit, a cup of chamomile tea, no tryptophan, no serotonin, no melatonin, just a body trying to shut down. Without fuel, we made one simple change. A half scoop of whey protein, about 20 g, with warm almond milk, an hour before bed. It felt silly at first, she said, like drinking a muscle shake at bedtime. But within 2 weeks, her sleep tracker showed improvement, and within a month, she reported waking up clear-headed for the first time in years. It's not just better sleep, she told me. It's like I finally have permission to rest. How cortisol complicates the picture. Of course, no conversation about sleep would be complete without discussing the villain of the modern age, cortisol. This stress hormone is essential during the day. It helps you stay alert, focused, and energized. But at night, it should drop naturally, allowing melatonin to rise. When that doesn't happen, due to late-night screens, overwork, emotional stress, or blood sugar crashes, cortisol stays high, and melatonin can't take over. This is what I call biological blue light. Your brain can't shut down because chemically, it thinks the sun is still up. Protein, especially tryptophan-rich protein, helps buffer cortisol indirectly by promoting stable blood sugar and enhancing the production of calming neurotransmitters. Top tryptophan-rich foods to consider before bed. Whey protein, especially isolate. Fast-acting, high in tryptophan. Turkey breast, classic source, though better in small amounts to avoid heaviness. Eggs, versatile, easy to digest, and rich in multiple sleep-promoting nutrients. Pumpkin seeds, combine well with a protein shake or yogurt. Greek yogurt, casein-rich, slow release, contains calcium which aids tryptophan absorption. Pro tip, pair your protein with a small amount of healthy carbs, like a banana or oatmeal. This promotes insulin release, which helps tryptophan cross the blood-brain barrier more effectively. Doctor's recommendation, the pre-sleep formula. If you're struggling with shallow sleep, frequent awakenings, early morning fatigue, consider this protocol. 30 to 60 minutes before sleep. A balanced snack with 20-35 g of protein, 5-10 g of slow-digesting carbs. No stimulants, screens, or emotional stimulation during that window. Remember, this is not about eating late. It's about eating smart, in sync with your brain's chemistry. Closing insight, why sleep isn't just a rest, it's a rebuild. Sleep is the most anabolic, anti-inflammatory, and hormonally precise phase of your entire day. It's when the liver detoxifies. It's when neurons prune. It's when skin regenerates. And it's when your body either rebuilds or deteriorates. And all of it depends on whether your body is fed enough of the right signals. Melatonin is not a magic bullet. Tryptophan plus serotonin plus sleep hygiene equals lasting sleep health. Evelyn's strength, How one woman reversed muscle loss after 40 with protein and grit. I didn't mind the wrinkles, or even the gray hair. But the moment I couldn't open a jar of pickles, that's when it hit me. I was losing something I never thought I'd lose. My strength. Evelyn was 48 when she first came into my office. She had 2 grown daughters, worked as a librarian, and had just become a first-time grandmother. But there was something in her tone that day, an edge of fear. She was trying to hide under a polite smile. "I've been active my whole life," she told me. "I walk, I garden, I don't sit around. But I feel weak. Not tired, fragile." The silent threat, sarcopenia after 40. Most people think aging is about getting slower. But for women, it's more than that. Starting as early as age 35, women begin to lose 3 to 5% of their muscle mass. Every decade. It's a process called sarcopenia, and it doesn't take long for this to translate into real-world consequences. Trouble climbing stairs, difficulty carrying groceries, falls that lead to fractures, longer recovery times, loss of independence. But here's the twist. It's not inevitable. Sarcopenia can be slowed and even reversed with the right intervention. What causes it? And why so soon? Sarcopenia in women is partly hormonal. After 40, estrogen and progesterone begin to decline, and both play roles in muscle metabolism and bone health. But the bigger factor is often undernutrition, specifically chronic low-protein intake. Many women, in an effort to stay light, unknowingly starve their muscles. Evelyn was no different. Her typical day: coffee for breakfast, salad with chicken at lunch, a light soup or sandwich at dinner. No snacks, no late-night meals, no shakes. Her total protein intake? Barely 45 grams per day, less than half of what she needed for her weight and age. And her body had started to cannibalize itself. Why protein before bed matters even more in women over 40. Here's the hard truth. As we age, our bodies become resistant to protein. It's called anabolic resistance, a blunted response to protein intake that reduces the body's ability to synthesize new muscle. So while a young adult might trigger muscle growth with 15 to 20 grams of protein, someone over 45 often needs 30 to 40 grams just to get the same effect. Worse yet, during sleep, when the body has its best chance to rebuild, most women have 0 amino acids in their bloodstream because they stop eating 3 to 4 hours before bed. Result? No building blocks, no repair, just a quiet, steady decline in muscle every night, unless you change one simple thing. Evelyn's protocol: recovery through protein timing. I proposed a plan that Evelyn found both surprising and oddly exciting. I want you to drink a 30-35 g whey protein shake every night before bed. At first, she hesitated. But won't that make me gain weight? That's the myth I hear most from women in midlife. They've been taught to fear food at night. But protein isn't sugar. It isn't fat. And it doesn't spike insulin like refined carbs. In fact, studies show that protein before bed improves sleep quality, boosts overnight muscle protein synthesis, helps preserve lean mass during weight loss, reduces morning fatigue, supports stable blood sugar overnight. So Evelyn agreed. The 90-day rebuild. Week 1 to 2. She slept deeper, fewer nighttime awakenings, more energy in the morning. Her cravings for sugar dropped. She even cut back on her afternoon coffee, without realizing it. Week 4. She noticed her arms felt firmer. Her posture improved. She carried her grandson around for longer stretches without back pain. Week 8. At her follow-up, her grip strength had improved by 23%. She gained 1.8 pounds of lean mass, and her waist had slimmed by nearly an inch. Week 12. She walked into my office, holding a 20 pounds grocery bag in one hand. "I carried this from the car and up the stairs. No problem," she beamed. "I feel strong again." The science that backed her change. Several clinical trials support Evelyn's experience. A 2015 study published in Clinical Nutrition showed that postmenopausal women who consumed 40 g of casein or whey protein before sleep gained more lean muscle and had lower inflammatory markers compared to those who didn't supplement. Another 2022 study in Nutrients found that pre-sleep protein intake in older women improved both muscle strength and functional independence, especially in tasks like stair climbing, standing from a chair, carrying loads. The power of dignity in aging. What moved me most about Evelyn wasn't just her physical progress. It was her emotional transformation. She began taking on more projects. She started painting again. She signed up for a community hiking group. "I'm not afraid of aging anymore," she told me, "because now I know how to fight back." And that, to me, is what this work is about. Not just helping people live longer, but helping them live stronger. Doctor's advice. If you're a woman over 40, start here. Eat more protein overall. At least 0.81 g per pound of goal body weight. Distribute protein across the day, not just lunch or dinner. Prioritize 30-40 g of protein before sleep, especially if you're in midlife or beyond. Use high-leucine proteins, like whey or eggs. Don't fear food at night. Fear muscle loss more. Closing thought. Strength is more than physical. Strength is being able to get up without help, to carry your own groceries, to lift your grandchild, to live alone, and feel safe. And a nightly protein shake might be the most underrated path to reclaiming that strength, because it's not just about muscle, it's about freedom. The protein before sleep protocol, a small change with life-altering impact. So, let's step back for a moment. We've walked through the biology. We've explored the stories of Mark, Evelyn, Lucy. We've analyzed the science, broken down the myths, and challenged the fears. And now we arrive at what matters most. What do you actually do with this information? The answer, SEP, is simpler than most fitness influencers, supplement companies, or viral health fads would ever dare to admit. Because the answer is not flashy. It's not extreme. It won't sell you a miracle cure, but it works. And it works long-term. Step by step, the Sleep Protein Blueprint. Here's your action plan, backed by research, and refined through real lives. 1. Hit your daily protein target first. Before anything else, ensure you meet your base requirement. 0.81 g of protein per pound of goal body weight per day. No timing trick will help if your overall intake is insufficient. 2. Split protein into 3 to 4 equal portions daily. Muscle synthesis has a saturation point. You can't load up on 80 g at once and expect magic. Aim for 30-40 g of protein per meal. And don't skip dinner. 3. Add a pre-sleep protein feed, 30 to 60 minutes before bed. This is your secret weapon. Choose one. Whey protein shake, ideal for fast digestion and leucine spike. Casein protein or Greek yogurt, slow release overnight. Eggs, turkey, cottage cheese, real food options. Add a spoonful of slow-carb, banana, oats. If sleep is an issue, keep it between 30-45 g protein. That's the sweet spot found in most studies. 4. Track functional progress. Don't just focus on weight or appearance. Track things that truly matter. Grip strength, energy on waking, how well you recover from activity, mood stability, and sleep quality. Key takeaways. More than just nutrition. This isn't just about protein. It's about choosing to fight for the version of yourself that doesn't fade quietly. Because what you do at night, while the world sleeps, is where your body, your brain, and your identity either slowly fade or slowly rebuild. Doctor's closing message. Why this matters so much more than fitness. I've seen patients walk into my office, defeated, tired of trying. Not because they didn't want to be healthy, but because no one ever taught them the system. No one explained why they felt weaker, even while doing everything right. And now you know why your body wakes up sore even if you don't train hard. Why your sleep never feels deep enough. Why your strength slowly fades, even when you're active. Why food timing matters more after 40 than before. But more than knowing, now you can choose. Choose to feed your body when it rebuilds. Not just when it screams with hunger. Choose to add that one shake, that one egg, that one decision that silently tells your body, I still believe in you. Because protein before bed isn't about a diet. It's not about chasing aesthetics. It's about investing in your strength, in the quietest hours, in the most overlooked ways. A final note to the viewer. If this message struck a chord with you, don't let it stop at inspiration. Let it become a habit. Start with one night, one scoop, one signal to your body that healing, growth, and strength are not behind you. They're still possible. Leave a comment below with your age and your biggest challenge right now. I'll be reading every single one. And remember this, aging is inevitable, but decline is a decision. And tonight, you get to choose.